Dear students, how are you? I hope you are very fine at your home, and I'm very much delighted to have you here on the Dhaka Online School. As you know, I am Nirupama Roy, Senior Teacher, South Point School and College. Today I will take your math class for English version, and our class is class 6, exercise 4.2. After our class, you will be able to, or you can explain exponents, about exponents, and you can solve the math related to exponents. So let's start our class. You can see a picture. What is this picture? I know, you know very well, this is a square. And what is this picture is? It is a cube. Okay. So if I ask you what is the area of a square or what is the volume of a cube, I know you know the answer. That is, area of a square is side square and volume of a cube is side cube. Suppose the length of a side of the square is A, then what will be the area of the square? The area of the square will be A into A, that is A square. And similarly, if we suppose that length of the side of cube is A, then what will be the volume of the cube? It will be A into A to A, that is A cube. Now students, if you look carefully, you can see 2 and 3 are written at upright corner of A. What is this number? We often come across these kinds of numbers. Can you tell me what exactly these numbers are indicate? Well students, these numbers are nothing but exponents. Or we can say these are index or power or exponent. And in our today's class, we will explore about these exponents. Here you can see 2 plus 2, 2 plus 2 plus 2, and so on. And at the end of the line, we have added 10 twos. 10 twos. Here, first of all, you can see 2, and then 2 plus 2, and then 2 plus 2 plus 2. And then 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, and then 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, and plus 2, and so on. And at the end, you have seen, you can see here, that is 2 plus 2 plus 2, that is 2 is added for 10 times. Okay, you can see in this picture. Well, what can we do if we write this or express this 2, and this 2 plus 2, we can express it or we can write it like 2 into 2, and then 2 plus 2 plus 2. We can write it like 2 into 3, and then we have 2 added for 4 times. We can write it like 2 into 4, 2 into 4. And so on. Then last of all, that we have added 2 for 10 times, we can express it like 2 into 10. As you can see, 2 into 10 here, that is, here you can see 2 into 10, that is 2 is added for 10 times. Here you can see 2 into 5, that 2 is added for 5 times, and here 2 into 4, that means 2 is added for 4, and here 2 into 3, that is 2 is added for 3 times, here 2 into 2, that means 2 is added for 2 times, and here 2 into 1 for 2. Okay. So what does it call? These are called repeated addition. If it is asked to write add 2 for 30 times or add 2 for 50 times, so what you are gonna do? You will write it like 2 into 30 for add 2 for 30 times, and you will write 2 into 50 for add 2 for 50 times. So for repeated addition, we are using multiplication, right? So what about when it comes for repeated multiplication? What we will do that time? Okay, let's see. Here, if we have 2 and then 2 into 2, 2 into 2 into 2, and then 2 is multiplied by itself for 4 times, and 2 is multiplied by itself 5 times, and so on, and then last of all we have 2 is multiplied itself by 10 times. This is repeated multiplication. If it is asked to multiply 2 for 50 times, then what you will do? You will multiply 2 for 50 times like this. Well, this is very time consuming and hideous process, and it will be very difficult for counting and understanding. So for avoid this lengthy mathematical operation, mathematicians had introduced some other process or other method. Let's see what is that process or method. To write repeated multiplication, we can write it like 2 equal to 2 to the power 1, and then 2 into 2, it can be written like this, 2 to the power 2. You can hear me or observe my pronunciation, that I am pronouncing it 2 to the power 1 and then 2 to the power 2. And for 2 multiplied by itself for 3 times, for this repeated multiplication, we can write it like 2 to the power 3. And for 2 is multiplied by 4 times, we can pronounce it or we can write it like 2 to the power 4. And if we have 2 multiplied 5 times by 2, then we can write it like 2 to the power 5. And so on. And for the last line, we have 2 is multiplied by itself 10 times. That's why we can write it or express it like 2 to the power 10. Okay. So when we have 2 into 2, we are writing 2 to the power 2. This 2, you can see the blinking shape or blinking 2, that is at the upright corner of bigger 2. It is written a smaller size than the bigger one. So this 2 that is written upright corner is called index or power or exponent. And this bigger 2, that means this 2 is multiplied itself. This is called base. This 2 is called base. So this 2 is multiplied by itself. This 2 is called base. And how many times this 2 is multiplied by itself? 2 times. How many times? 2 times. This 2 times is written as at the upright corner of the base. So this 2, that means how many times this 2 is multiplied by itself, is indicating or explaining, or this 2 is called exponent or index or power, and the 2 that is multiplied by itself is called base. So two terms we have here, that is base and index or power. These two, we can say this 2 is the number of times the base term is multiplied by itself. Okay, so what is the base here? Base is 2. So base term is multiplied by itself how many times? 2 times. So this 2 upright corner is called the index or exponent, and the number that is multiplied by itself is called base. So I guess you have now understand what is the base and index or power of the exponent. Okay, so there are two important things you have to understand, that is what is base and what is index power. Here another example we can see 2 to the power 5. So if you can see this 2 is the base. Why? Because this 2 is multiplied by itself. This 2 is the base, and how many times this 2 is multiplied by itself? 5 times. How many times? 5 times. So this 5 is the exponent. This 5 is the exponent or index or power. Okay, so we got 2 as the base and 5 as index or power. And we will pronounce it like 2 to the power 5 or 2 raised to the power 5. I am repeat it again. Whenever we will pronounce it, we will say 2 to the power 5 or 2 raised to the power 5. Well, if it is asked to write multiply 2 by 2 for 30 times or multiply 3 by 3 for 50 times, then how you are going to write it? Well, I know. Now you know how we will write it, that we will write 2 to the power 30, because here you can see 2 is multiplied by 2, that means 2 is the base, and for how many times this 2 is multiplied by 2? 30 times. So this 30 is the power or index. And here, now for this example, you can see multiply 3 by 3 for 50 times, and we can write it like 3 to the power 50. So 3 is multiplied by 3. That means 3 is the base, and how many times this 3 is multiplied by 3? 50 times. So this 50 is the index or power. So for repeated multiplication, we can use an exponent. For repeated multiplication, we will use exponents. Well, for a general form of exponents, I can explain it here. If n is a positive integer and a is any real number, then we can express it as exponent like a to the power n. A to the power n. Here you can see some dot sign, because I already mentioned n is the positive integer, so value of n can be any positive integer number. So we don't know what is the value of n here. It may be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and so on. That's why there is a dot sign given. So because we don't know what is the value of n, that means a is multiplied by itself n times. It may be 1 time, maybe 2 times, maybe 3 times, maybe 1000 times, maybe 2000 times. Okay, so this n is indicating n times. So we know that when it is it is for n times one number is multiplied by itself, then we called this thing, this number is power or index, and a is multiplied by itself, that means a is the base here. Okay, here is a question. What is the value of 7 to the power 3? What is the value of 7 to the power 3? Well, it's very easy. 7 to the power 3 means 7 into 3. Wait, no, this is wrong. You can see this is an exponent. 7 to the power 3. That means 7 is multiplied by itself how many times? 3 times. Here, this 3 at the upright corner indicates the power. Here, this 3 at the upright corner indicates the power or index, and this 7 indicates the base. So here 7 is base and 3 is exponent or index or power. So we have to write it like 7 into 7 into 7, because 7 is multiplied by 7 by itself how many times? 3 times. Okay. If we multiply 7 into 7 into 7, we got 343. So this is the value of 7 to the power 3. And can you say, or can you give me the answer of this question? That is, what is the standard form of 6 into 6 into 6 into 6? Well, I am helping you out. Like this 6 is multiplied how many times? 4 times by itself. 6 is multiplied by 6 how many times? 4 times. Okay, so 6 is the base and 4 is the power or index. So we can write this repeated multiplication in the form of exponent, like 6 to the power 4. Here we can see some comparison between multiplication and exponent. If you see here, 4 into 1 equal to 4. That means here you can see 4 boxes. 4 into 2 equal to 8. Here are 8 boxes. 4 into 3. What is the result? That is 12. Here is the 12 boxes. And if you see here, 4 is multiplied one time, that is 4, or we can say this 4 or express this 4 by exponent, that is 4 to the power 1. Then we got answer 4. That means 4 boxes. Here for this example, you can see 4 into 4. We can write it 16 or express it in an exponent like 4 to the power 2. That means 4 is multiplied by itself how many times? 2 times. That means 4 is the base and 2 is the exponent or power or index. And here you can see 16 boxes for 4 to the power 2. How many boxes over there? There are 16 boxes. And for another example, that is 4 into 4 into 4, that is we got 64. That means 4 is multiplied by 4 how many times? 3 times. So 4 is the base and 3 is the power or index. And we have here 64 boxes. And you can understand or observe that how rapidly these boxes are increasing in the exponent. Okay, so here is the comparison between multiplication and exponent. Growth rate or increasing rate is much higher than the multiplication in exponent. Okay, well, here is a question for you. What is the value of 5 to the power 4? What is the value of 5 to the power 4? I guess you are doing it on your copy. Well, I'm helping you for doing this math. That is 5 to the power 4 means 5 is multiplied by 5 4 times. How many times? 4 times. So if we multiply 5 into 5 into 5 into 5, we got 625. And here is another question. What is the standard form of 4 into 4 into 4 into 4 into 4? Okay, 5, you can see 5, 4s are multiplied over here. So what is the base? Base is 4. And how many times this 4 is multiplied? 5 times. So the answer will be 4 to the power 5, because you can see 4 is multiplied by 4 5 times. So base is 4 and the power or index is 5. So answer will be 4 to the power 5. Well, so today we have learned about exponents. We know now what is exponents and why we will use exponents, and what is base and what is power or index of the exponents, and we have already solved some questions also, isn't it? That's all for today, my dear students. Stay home, stay safe and study more, and I hope all of you will be very fine, and see you in the next class. Thank you very much. Bye.